A little Laker check-in because we got a Lakers team who's dropped 2 straight following the season-best 8-game win streak facing Giannis and the Bucks tonight. And what will be their first of 6 games in 8 days. Los Angeles has the 3rd hardest remaining schedule in the NBA. That's based on opponents' win percentage. And oh yeah, they're trying to do all this without LeBron James. Let's go to our NBA reporter Dave McMenamin right now, who is on the scene for us in Milwaukee ahead of tip tonight. And Dave, difficult stretch, as I just mentioned, coming up for the Lakers starting against the Bucks tonight. What are they saying as they continue this stretch without LeBron?
Yeah, El, the Lakers had a rare practice on yesterday in New York City. Wanted to get onto the court after that debacle of a game against the Brooklyn Nets. JJ Redick said, we just had to understand what plays we are running. That's where they're at right now with missing so much personnel. The Lakers sent almost half their team back to LA in the middle of this trip. LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, and Maxi Kleber all went back to Los Angeles to continue their rehab. In the meantime, JJ Redick says the players that they do have available have to be better about communicating, and that includes the guy right behind me, Austin Reeves, and also Luka Doncic. JJ said even if those guys are struggling with their shot, we need them to show leadership capabilities to be vocal and keep our team organized in the interim.
Yeah, you just mentioned that LeBron is headed back to California. So what's the latest on his status and availability?
Yeah, Al, sources tell me that LeBron James's progress is going well with that left groin strain that he suffered on Saturday in Boston. JJ Redick termed him as day-to-day moving forward. You know, sources tell myself and Shams Charania that he's expected to miss anywhere at least a week to 2 weeks. So we're only at about a half a week so far. We're still not necessarily in the day-to-day range. And as you mentioned, as soon as the Lakers continue beyond tonight, they have a second night of a back-to-back in Denver tomorrow, go back to LA, and are greeted by another back-to-back Sunday against the Suns, Monday against the San Antonio Spurs. If we're going by the week to 2 week time frame that we reported already, most of those games are out of the question, but we shall see what his status is once the team gets back to LA. For sure, he's out on Friday against the Denver Nuggets.
It's the absolute worst time to lose a guy who's been available all year long as they go through this stretch. They're 0-2 right now on this road trip, and then they currently sit at 4th in the West. But as you know, Dave, they've got the Rockets breathing down their neck, just a half game back in the standings.
Basketball conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the NBA. Maybe a finals preview last night. The Thunder got 34 points from MVP favorite Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to hold off the Celtics by 6. OKC clinching a playoff berth. They won for the 17th time in 18 games. Jason Tatum had 33. Boston took a franchise record 63 threes.
Trust the game plan. You trust each other offensively, and you do the little things to earn a win. Like every night in the NBA is going to be different. Every opponent's different. Sometimes teams shoot better than expected, worse than expected. But regardless, every night's going to pose an opportunity to earn the win, and we did those little things tonight to do so.
We normally find a way to figure out how to win. Even if we're not shooting the ball well, we put ourselves in position, to still, make it close or be in the ball game by doing all the little things. And, sometimes you don't make shots.
Great environment last night. Celtics have lost each of their head-to-head meetings against the Thunder this season. Last night, again, I mentioned they put up 63 triples. They hit 20 of them. That tied a record for three-point attempts in a regulation game in NBA history. Mike and Frank with much more in tonight's PTI bonus topic.
Okay, Frank, who had the more impressive win last night, the Thunder or the T-Wolves?
All right, so OKC, they win last night without Jalen Williams. That's on the road against the defending champs.
Huge.
And when they beat them in January, they didn't have Chet Holmgren. So I
Huge.
get all that. And they're a great defensive team. But I'm going to throw a little curveball for you here.
Okay.
Because Minnesota has won 6 in a row. And Julius Randle, everyone in Minnesota has been waiting and saying, why did we ever make this trade with Karl Anthony Towns?
This is why.
They've now won their last 11 games with Julius Randle. And the thing to remember, it's interesting. They've won all 3 games against Denver this year. And I keep thinking Denver's the team that might surprise you come playoff time. But Minnesota's beaten them 5 straight times. And that includes 6 and 7 in the playoffs. And what I love about Chris Finch, their head coach, he complimented Rudy Gobert on the great job he did shutting down Nikola Jokic, who only had 34 points and 8 rebounds. But Jokic did admit after the game this team kind of has our number. Minnesota right now is peaking at the right time. They were in the conference finals last year.
When
Your
Minnesota,
OKC Thunder got to get out of the second round.
When Minnesota has Gobert, Randall, and Conley, I think they're as good as anybody in the West in a playoff series.
Yeah.
We saw them beat the champs once removed last year. Now, the current champs, of course, is still the most impressive win is still going in without your second All-Star, without Jalen Williams, going into Boston and winning that game, particularly with the talk out there that people look at OKC and don't really know whether they measure up to what is considered championship basketball as we enter the playoffs. Frank, I know a young team is more likely to have its hearts crushed than win, sort of in a second year of trying to flower. But OKC is so impressive defensively and what SGA does, and he's the MVP. Narrowly, maybe, over Joker. On my ballot, Michael Malone, it's SGA because his team wins these games. And in the fourth quarter, he takes these games over. And he might be the best mid-range player in the NBA since...
All right. And he draws a lot of fouls, too.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say that word.
I didn't say it yet out loud.
Let me ask you this. Brass tacks. Minnesota, Oklahoma City in the playoffs. With all that experience.
I'd like to see it. All that experience. I don't know who the betting favorite would be. Two small markets. What will the league do about that?
With the ACC tournament, a bit of a jump scare moment today.
Yeah, one of those moments that could have impacted March Madness. Duke star Cooper Flagg suffered an ankle injury and had to be helped to the locker room in the first half of the Blue Devils' quarterfinal comeback win over Georgia Tech. Head coach Jon Scheyer was asked post-game about Flagg's availability for tomorrow's semi. Listen to this.
I would have to be convinced by everybody in the locker room when I go back that he should play. It's not worth it. It just isn't. And again, he was swollen already. It's not about being ready to go tomorrow. That's not the most important thing for us. We got to see if we can get him right for this run that we can make in the tournament. I would have to be really convinced that we should even consider seeing if he can go tomorrow. And he may not be able to go anyway. He probably won't be able to go anyway. But I think it's a real long shot.
Okay, context too. Scheyer also said Flagg's x-rays were negative.
That's great.
So that is the good news there. Look at this. The ACC Player of the Year leads the Blue Devils in points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks per game this season. He would be the first player in Duke history to lead the team in all 5 categories.
Are you saying Cooper Flagg is important to what Duke does?
Just a little bit.
What?
Just a little bit. As Tom Crean continues to join us here in this conversation. Based on what you just heard from Jon Scheyer, big picture. This is not about a tournament in the conference. This is big picture, the NCAA tournament. How would you use him availability moving forward?
There's no way I would even attempt to play him this week.
Right.
No chance. They've got a #1 seed. They're set. Now you want to hope that you're going to end up in Raleigh, which is a Friday, Sunday. You do everything you can do inside of the week to get him healthier because trying to play 60, 70, even 80% on a bad ankle, that's not good for anybody. It's definitely not good for a player that has the ball in his hands and does the things he does defensively. I would be hopeful for next Friday if it's in Raleigh and really try to do everything we can do to have him ready for that Sunday. But you'd want him to get something done during the week, potentially, but you cannot even come close to attempting it this weekend.
Keep in mind, Duke entered the ACC tournament as the favorite to win it all, according to ESPN. That is the ACC tournament to win that conference.
Yeah,